Woody. All right, so going to the new week, okay, it's always going to be when we go into the new week, it's always that there's always that uncertainty as to whether plays or how plays are going to move, right? Um, how plays are going to move, right? And how the market is going to react to, or rather give us in terms of the small cap performance. We will never know, right? Especially when we go into the new week, right? Um, a very good sign to see that tickers like UU, right? All these tickers, UU, SSKN, all these tickers are tickers with very low daily average volume. Okay, still showing good strength pushing the price up, and this is a good sign to see that small floaters are still showing relative strength over here. Um, of course, it we don't really have that big, crazy squeeze move on this. One reason could be because there is a lot of runners during the morning. Nuke is one, HWH is one. Even IPTN today, it was on super low volume, but it still made a very nice move to 7 plus with fives. It's very difficult to kind of have that, I would say, focus on one play. And even though this thing did have the potential to go crazy, right? And ultimately HWH had the volume instead, and it made the move, right? This thing was up, I think, close to it's crazy, 1.4 to 7. I mean, this is up a lot today, right? And that's why you didn't have that focus to shine as it is. But regardless of what the case is, it is nice scalps here and there. And overall, this thing today was a very, very good thing. Now, for those of you guys who, have been I would say watching, or rather who have joined my session yesterday, and I told you guys how to execute your trades, right? I showed you guys how I actually execute my trades. You guys can see that I do not really focus on one play. As at most, I have two momentum tickers on at the same time. If I feel like one of them is not going to work out, I'll close the rest, right? I'll close the rest and on whatever I feel like it's not going to work out, and I'm going to go in on the one that I feel like is going to work out. And what I also showed you guys that over here for that play on IPTN, how leaving runners, okay, even if you only leave 10%, let's just say, because we took a 3.2s over here, let's say we sold 90% of our position at 3.9s. Even if you only leave 10% of your position over here, if your stop loss at an entry, right, you will still be able to enjoy 100% profit increase, right, if the stock decides to go crazy. If you guys were to practice this today on HWH and also on Nuke, I'm pretty sure you might be able to get a very nice increase of profits for your position over here. All right. Now, going back to the first play for today, SSKN. I like Nuke today a lot. Okay, sorry, I like UU today a lot. But the thing is, you guys know how it is, right? I'm not around doing pre-market. Frankie was around, and this thing was going all the way up. Very, very nice, right? And I'm also about to chase something over here. And you guys already know, when it comes to pre-market, we are very susceptible to volume rotation, where tickers might drop news anytime. SSK was one of them. Now, I generally did not want to trade this, right? I didn't want to trade this. I just woke up, right? But I love the fact that during the first move, okay, price moved very, very nicely. This is what we call a news pop, right? We don't really know whether this thing is going to continue from here or is it going to drop. We don't know. There's no way we could know. All right, you can be lucky. You can add over here and then it pumps. You sell it for profits. You can do that, right? And sometimes maybe even continues. But stuff like this is generally I would say, a gamble, right? This is sort of like a gamble. Okay, that's why I usually do not give you guys really news pop type of setups because it is truly a gamble. Let's just say, for example, you think that this is good, and then at the same time, something else starts dropping news and goes crazy as well. There's a high chance this thing is going to drop. But we do have the setup right now as the price goes down. We tested the 21 EMA trend line over here, okay, and it formed 2 wicks, right? 2 wicks over here before it formed a bullish engulfing candle. Now this, all right, and started basing on this hard nose, right? You see that. Now and volume come up. And plus this candle over here went down, retest this higher lows over here, forming weight, grab liquidity on this, and price went up and reclaimed view up. This is a very, very strong structure. Okay, so I when I saw this structure, I was like, okay, you know what? This actually looks really, really good. Right. I did not want to chase this, okay, but it looks really good. And then as price close above VWAP, we have volume pushing through. I was typing it out to you guys, the 375 370 breakout. Now, of course, this was a little late, All right, this one was a little late. 1 second. All right, this one was a little late, but if you guys understand how the 370 breakout works, okay, you guys understand how the 370 breakout works, I would say that this over here, if you guys were watching it closely, it was an instant entry, right? This was an instant entry over here from 818. So at 818 over here, right, this is where the alert was given out. You can see that this thing has broken through 370, right? Generally speaking, if I were to send out the alert 370 breakout at 817, what you guys would do is you guys will wait for this to close. Maybe some of you guys would like to get in before the close to make sure. I mean, let's say if I look at this candle over here, all right, let's say it's do trading. Yeah, look at the time. I feel like in the last 5 seconds, the candle's going to close above 370, right? This is eventually still the same thing as a breakout, right? So you could take your position preemptively over here in the last 5-10 seconds if you feel like it's not going to close under 370, or you can wait for the candle to open above the next one and add your positions over here, have your stop loss under 340. Regardless, we still got a very nice move to 450. But unfortunately, we just couldn't push higher again because there was a lot of volume mutation. I think as this thing started to go up, we started to have some other runners, right? We started to have another runner started to run. Let me see. I think Nuke, right? Nuke was starting to get a bit of traction as well over here. SHFS is also starting to get a little bit of traction as well. Right. But I think the one that really stumped the SSKM from continuing was Nuke. If you look at the time, if you look at the timing over here, this thing started dropping from 836 all the way down to 906, right? And during the time of 836 to 906, Nuke was actually going up. All right, let me show you guys. So you can see 836 also over here to 906, right? This thing started having news at 846 to all the way up, right? So during this small period of move for Nuke, right, it probably took a bit of volume from SSKN and also a bit of reversal from the other morning runners, which is why whenever, and not only that, there was Calm as well, right? Calm was also taking volume from the market. It was taking volume from the market, right? It was also taking volume from the market. So you're not only against one play. And if you guys remember what was running in pre-market, there was a lot, right? One of them was going to be UU, right? One there's Nuke, one was SHFS, one is HWH, SSKN, and CARP. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There were 6 tickers running, right? Which means that if you were to make a decision on a particular play, right, you're gonna be more or less wrong, 1/6 of the time, right? I mean, you're wrong 5/6 of the time, you're gonna be right 1/6 of the time. Okay, all right. So that's one thing that is something that we gotta keep in mind for. So that's why I was very selective going to open. Now, when when I have now look, right? So now the thing is for me, I know that all these tickers all have potential to run. Okay, when we go to open, we can't say that some of these don't have potential to run, right? I know that all these tickers has potential to run, but I also know for a fact that one or two maybe continues, the rest dies off. So if I were to make a decision of picking up a play going into open, all right, I have to focus on something that is sitting on a good risk to reward level. And for me, if I were to look at the entirety of all the setups, right? If I were to look at the entirety of the setups, right? If I look at the entirety of all the setups, okay, we look at CARM going to market open. This was very high. This gray box over here is the gap that we have on the daily chart. Okay. That means that if I were to add this over here at 57 cents, the amount of upside I potentially could have is 63. Right? It's 63. I may not even go higher. Okay, and this thing, this thing might hit this and go down, right? So that's why I didn't want to touch this going to market open. Now, Nuke, it's not an intraday runner. I would say you could sort of call this a multi-day type of setup, especially with how it was on Friday when we almost tried to break out from it, but we couldn't, right? But still you can see that very nice breakout of the 550 level, right? We went inside the daily supply level over here in this gray box and went up. But going into market open, right, we only see this. I cannot make a decision on this because this was fresh. This didn't have a whole lot of volume, right? This did not have the whole lot of volume over here. So I gotta be very mindful about how I select my position over here, right? So for me, I keep it simple. I don't want to scratch my head for dips over here, right? If I have to watch for 6 tickers on open, if this thing breaks 550, this is the one with strength. Correct? If it can break 550, what does it mean? It means that the other tickers are not flowing as well, volumes into this. So if this thing breaks 550, you guys might ask why 550? Very simple, right? I mean, just look at this. Okay? I mean, this is what, 5.48, round off, right? 550. Very nice 2-day structure breakout, right? So if we just can break 550, this is strong, right? This is strong enough for me. Okay, so that's that. So I wait for the 550 breakout, which is why, I told you guys this, right? And my stops is going to be underneath the bottom of the supply zone over here on the daily chart. Okay, very simple. So now that I have my plan for Nuke. UU, now let's look at UU. UU was very, very high. Okay, UU was very, very high going to open. All right, it kind of made new highs, right? And price went down. Now, for this, since price is above VWAP and we're sitting at the peak of this trend, right? And you can see, this thing was also starting to break the downtrend a little bit. But I wasn't really a huge fan for this. I wanted to see more consolidation over here. I want to see some pullbacks. I want to see some, trend being formed before we start to find our setup over here. Right, so that's why I avoided this because the move has already happened. And going to open, especially when there's so many potential for runs, I cannot take the risk over here. So this one was on my watch list just to watch it, but I don't really have a clear plan for it. I know for a fact that 650 is a key level breakout for us, which is why we scalped that over here just now, right? But I wasn't sure if it's going to happen on open, so I didn't want to put too much focus to this. My focus was Nuke and SHFS as I alerted. All right. The next one over here is going to be what was the next ticker? What's the next one ticker on the watch list? Karm, we talked about this, was way too high, right? SSKN potentially could do something, right? This one potentially could do something. Okay, SSKN. Let's see. SSKN potentially could do something over here. Right, so this is also my watch list, right? But for me, I wanted to see a VWAP breakout on this. Because I mean you guys can see, right? This ticker over here has had a significant separation on VWAP. Okay, look at this white line over here. I want you guys to look at something, right? Whenever this ticker breaks through this VWAP level, okay, right, it generally tends to make very nice moves. Okay, you can see that when it reclaimed this VWAP over here, it made some pretty nice moves over here. As price went down under VWAP, it started becoming resistance, right? And that never changed from market open. That didn't change. Okay, so there was no play on this for me unless this thing breaks VWAP. So that was on my plan. Right? Karm, we'll talk about this in HWH. This is also another one that I was going to watch for open because it's a Chinese name over here, right? And I always told you guys this. I always tell you guys this, right? Chinese names, if they don't have news, they're the best. If they have news, they might not continue running. SOGP was an anomaly. Remember, there is never 100%, right? But there's always a small chance that, that anomaly might happen. But we can't, sit on this. We can't sit on the small chance and wait for that to happen, right? So I would say that for this, okay, this one had some pretty nice moves in after hours on Friday. Very nice continuation in pre-market. And see some continuation strength. Huge consolidation under VWAP with a lot of wicks over here. All right. Which tells me that this might not be done. Okay. So I have all the stickers on my watch list, but why did I only start off with SHFS out of all the 6 stickers? Number one, HWH is a Chinese name without news. If I were to be open about what's going to run and whatnot, I would rather avoid this. I would rather avoid HWH. Number 2, Karm, too high for me. All right, way too high. In terms of risk reward, I don't think it's anything good. Okay. Number 3, UU already made this nice moves. I wanted to see some consolidation the VWAP never had, so it was a little bit extended for me. So that's why I didn't touch it. SSKN potentially could do something. All right, but not enough consolidation over here for me. All right, not enough consolidation over here for me. Very near the 200 EMA, right? Might be a little bit extended. Could potentially break VWAP and go though, right? But this one was especially going to open with 6 tickers to watch. I couldn't take that risk. All right. And then of course, Nuke, this one was the news just happened, so I was going to wait for the breakout, right? Which I was focused on. But why hit SHFS then? Now, because SHFS first off has news today, right? Low daily average volume, as you guys can see. Okay, launches fully blah blah cannabis, whatever. I don't care, right? What I care about is that this over here had pretty nice move, right? Had a pretty nice move to the upside. Low daily average volume as well. What I'd love to see is that the price went down under VWAP, started to base nicely above the 200 EMA, which is pretty close, right? Very close to it, as you guys can see. Broke the downtrend as well, right? But I always say this as well, right? If price is under VWAP, what is your first target? Any one of you guys over here, have you guys heard me say this before? If price is under VWAP, what is going to be your first target? Your first target is all going to be VWAP. So that's why you guys can see, right? I told you guys to play dips down to 370. And don't tell me you guys didn't get this, because you had all the time to get from 390s all the way down to 368 even, but 370 is fine, right? And this thing had a very nice pop-up market open. Okay, which is great, right? But I really wanted this to break through VWAP and go for the big push, but that didn't happen. Okay, I mean, you guys look at this. Look at how strong this VWAP rejection is. So price hit VWAP, all right, and there's such a heavy rejection. This is where you know that the setup is more or less done, right? And we even lost 200 EMA over here, okay, which is not nice anymore. So is there a point to continue sitting in this? No. You cut it, then you move on. If it starts to recover later, then you watch for it again. If not, don't stay in it because it might not amount to anything. All right. Okay, but it was a very nice trade. We had a very nice base at the bottom, very nice market open bet. Potentially could have break up and haul up. Low daily average volume, low float, why not? But there was way too much other potential runners. So that's why the focus was very, very difficult to spread it out. Okay. Nuke was very simple, 550 with news, right? It broke out. So as I told you guys, right, out of all the 6 lists that we have, if Nuke managed to break out 550, to me, this thing has strength, right? There's no argument about it. It means that the other tickers do not have that much strength. So I just wait. I don't have to stress myself for dips. I wait for the market to tell me what's happening. So if this thing breaks 550, it's a pretty strong breakout. Some of you guys may get in over here at 556, 557, 558, 562 before the candle even close, right? That's possible, right? And we had a very, very nice move to 7 plus. If we can break $7 over here, right? I think this would have been a great play. I think we could have definitely seen higher. But again, was this the only runner today? No. All right, HWH was only running as well. But very nice trade over here, right? Going all the way up, take profits on the way up, right? And then just ride it. I'm out already, by the way. But yeah. Okay, if we had a midday consolidation move, VWAP reclaim, maybe we could see more. But again, it's just the start of the week, start of the month. There were many runners, right? Let's just take it easy a little bit. I see IPDN curling up a little bit as well. Right? We talk about this, you can see. Even though this thing didn't have a lot of volume today, you can see. Right? Small cap market is pretty okay so far. So let's just continue on the momentum. Right? So now with all that being said, CWD. How many of you guys over here were green with me on CWD? This was amazing, right? Unfortunately, this wasn't a momentum setup. Okay, this wasn't a momentum setup. So we didn't really have that momentum push as what we seen on CWD on the first day of the run. Unfortunately. Right? Why? Because the momentum was currently in other tickers. We're in 6 tickers. So this didn't really have the volume it needs. You can see it's only 3 million shares being traded today. In a different scenario, maybe if we don't have runners on HWH, on UU, and all these didn't run, I think CWD could have easily gone crazy today. Right? So that's one of the reasons why we probably had a low volume sell-off for CWD during pre-market, right? During pre-market was because there was 6 other tickers running on strength. And CWD over here, I think I told you guys, right? If it goes under, yeah, low volume sell off, all right, I'll still hold on to this, but I'll cut if we lose 290 hard stops. Hey, we never lost 290. Price go up into market open, and we actually halted up, which is very surprising. Can you imagine this thing halted up on low volume, right? If the market today had all the volume focused on this, how high do you guys think this could have went? All right, but again, the truth of the matter is there is no volume over here. The inside bar breakout played off pretty well as well, right? We hit 430, but unfortunately the volume's in the other place, but it's fine. We're in that as well. Okay, so but regardless, this is still a very nice overnight swing from the weekends. Okay, and during the weekend, you guys asked, right? And I answered to you guys too. I said, for an inside bar breakout, what you actually need is for this to break through the upper wick of the inside bar, correct? And you guys might be asking me, why would you choose to add before the breakout happens instead? And that's a very good question, right? And I explained it last during the weekend. This is what I said. The reason why I choose to add this before the breakout is because when we go into a long weekend, we generally do not know how the market is going to continue these multi-day stocks. Maybe market doesn't really care about this too much anymore. Maybe we have new tickers to run, which today we did. So for me, it gives me more incentive to buy this at the bottoms, right? With a good risk reward and see if the market continues going up. Sometimes this play may just break 380 and go to 392 and go down. So if you were to be playing this on the 380 breakout from the inside bar breakout, when there's no volume over here because the volume is stuck in another place, then this breakout move might not give you too much of a move to the upside. But if you're adding it at the bottom of the structure, you can see 318 average to 431. That's pretty good. All right, that's pretty good. If you were to take this 380 breakout, I would say it's not too bad, right? You still got some nice moves from 4 to 430, but that's it. All right, it's not too much of volume. So that's the reason why I took it preemptively. Of course, taking it preemptively just means that you have to make sure that your risk reward is capped. Okay. All right. So after that, there was HWH, right? I told you guys to play around dips and whatnot. Over here we broke the 345. Why 345? Let me see. Why 345? I mean, this was as clean as it's gonna be, Why 345 though? Let me see. Okay. So if you look at this over here, very, very nice price action separation in the daily chart. Okay, for HWH. All right, very simple. Okay, don't need to complicate your charting or whatever the case is, okay? And over here, once you broke the 345, and at this point of time, what else was holding up? I think SSKN was dead, SHFS was dead, UU was still holding it was dead at the point of time, right? Nuke was also not doing too much of anything, right? And HWH was the only one to follow. So if 6 tickers, 5 of them are non-Chinese, they're not showing strength. One of them is Chinese, they're showing strength. This is going to be absolutely amazing because there's no news over here as well, right? So this makes it even better. So once this breaks 345, you take your entries either over here on the next candle, right? Obviously not at the 378, right? You take it at 350 because when this thing closes above 345, you're supposed to add it immediately. We got a beautiful move to 460. All right, I even told you guys, play around dips if given, and even over here, I told you to raise your stops to underneath 330, right? Let me see, where is it over here? Yeah, stop loss in 330. Did we lose 330? Right? Did we actually lose 330? We never did. Right? And if you guys want to play dips over here, you could. Right? I did say play around dips, but make sure not to give your profits back, right? And over here, we got a beautiful 7 plus. Now, same thing. Same example as of whatever I did yesterday. All right, same example as of whatever I did yesterday for the recap of how I execute my trades. If you were to sell 90% of your position on this move up over here, you're only 10%. Don't tell me you guys didn't make nice profits on this. If you guys were to practice whatever I told you guys yesterday, this would have been good profits for you guys. Correct? In at 345, right? It goes to 450. You trim 90%, you leave 10%, set your stop loss at 330. Right? It goes up. You come back, you sell at 7 plus. You might not get 100% profit increase, maybe not. Okay, but 50, 60%, I think it's pretty much there. But let's just say over here you have 100 shares, right? 100 shares over here at, let's say, 352, right? We'll see 352 or 100 shares, okay? and you sell 90 shares at, oh, remember, I'm using a smaller, I'm talking in the narrative of a small account just to kind of make you guys understand that even if you have a small account, it's still possible to make money as long as you know what you're doing and not greedy about it. Okay, so let's say you have 100 shares over here at 352. It goes up to like, we don't say you sell the top, right? Because that's a little bullshit. Let's say you sell, at just hold it up. I just hold it up, right? It's you sell at maybe 420. Okay, so 352, right? Minus 420. Okay, you sell 90 shares. Okay, you sell 90 shares. Uh, and this is gonna give you $61.20. But of course, it's not realistic to be selling all the way like that, right? Full size, 90 shares. So let's say we talk about this in terms of like selling on the way up. So we could say maybe you made around $40 to $50 on this trade over here if you sell on the way up. Right? I think that's pretty reasonable. Now, your 10 shares left at 352, right? Your 10 shares left at 352. Okay, if you come back, right? If you just set your stop loss your entry, you come back, maybe you come back at like 11:31 before lunch. You just want to see what's up, right? Before lunch actually happens. All right, 352 10 shares. All right, you sell everything at 738, for example. Okay, you sell everything at 738. Now remember, your first trade netted you around $40 to $50 profits, right? So that's pretty decent, okay? So over here, from 352 minus 738, okay, you have 10 shares left. This 10 shares either becomes zero, which means that you still walk away 40 to 50, or these 10 shares give you an additional 38.6, which is close to 100% of whatever you've already made on this trade, and you didn't even need to stress yourself out looking for real interest over here. You're letting your money work for you. Which is, again, I showed you guys a live example over here. Okay, I mean, you guys can see over here on this, right? You can see. All right, let's say I started off with 5,000 shares on this, right? All right, I started off with, hold on one second. Okay, okay, I started off with 5,000 shares. And again, as per the example, I didn't sell everything at whatever. I sold on the way up. As you can see, I sold half. I sold on the way up, right? I continued selling. And by the time before this thing even hits, right? By the time before this thing even hits like the $7 or $10 last week, as you will see on IPTN, okay, I only had 500 shares left. You guys might think, oh, but hey, yo, PPT, it's impossible for you to just hit the whole like big size, blah, blah, blah. Okay, no, I'll show you guys, right? 10% of my position left. I only have 10% of my position left. I have 5,000 shares. I sold 4,500 of it. I have 500 shares left. So far at this point in time, if this 500 shares don't work out, I'll have $2,000 in profits secure. Okay, and whatever the case is, this 2,000 is going to be secure. This remaining position I have left, I set my stop loss over here, and let's say I go to bid. I'm going to come back 2 hours later. Okay, I'm going to come back 2 hours later, and you're going to see. No, sorry, this is 100 shares, right? I'm gonna come back 2 hours later, and my runners with my stop loss set intact, never trigger, just gave me additional 2.3K profits without needing to stress over it. That's the power of leaving runners. That's why, when it comes to trading these small caps, you cannot not leave runners, especially when there's a lot of, conviction and confluence to do it. Okay, all right. But you see, even leaving 10% changes so much. Imagine if you guys have 20 or even 30% of it. Think about it, right? Okay. So but other than that, I didn't really force too much. You can see you how do we trade this over here, right? How did I trade this on you? Okay, we had the 350 breakout. Now, to be honest, I wanted to take my entries at 586 over here and have my stop loss in the VWAP. Again, you guys can see there is a huge separation of VWAP over here, right? In the morning, especially, it doesn't keep testing VWAP, but it didn't really go anywhere. Okay, and then broke down. And VWAP became resistance. So that once the price breaks through VWAP, we want to see this base above VWAP, or hold above VWAP for the next leg. Okay, so you can either wait for the breakout or look for entries near VWAP. If it stops under VWAP, all right, I mean, you tell me, okay? You added 583, stop loss in the 568. I think that's pretty close. Considering the range of moves this ticker had, I think this is pretty close, right? So But if we got the 650 breakout, how do you trade this over here? 650 breakout. Price broke over here, right? You can add either on this before the candle close or add over here and it dips down, right? And you still got a nice scalp. I wish we could went higher. I wish we could go higher, right? I do wish we could go higher, but again, HWH was having too much volume. Even though this thing had a low daily average volume, we just couldn't keep up. But it is what it is. Not every single play is going to go crazy. Why? Because you're not just trading one ticker, right? Every single ticker has their own personality, has their own strength, has their own volume. So you got to take it as it is. If this thing were to just continue going up, sure, why not? But if not, take it as it is. Am I big green over here? I would say it's still green, but not like as big as HWH for sure. All right, not every single trade's gonna go like as smooth as you think it's gonna. Okay, all right. Okay, let's get some questions in. I think this is pretty much it. I didn't really see too much EOD. That's why I didn't really alert anything else. I mean, it's pointless, right? I'm trying to cut down on overtrading too. But this IPDN is trying to tickle my balls over here, man. Holy shit. It's kind of way too high for me, but god damn, man. This is IPDN over here. Holy shit. This one might be interesting tomorrow. Oh god. This one might be actually very interesting tomorrow. Uh I'll watch the 10-20 break over here. I mean, over here at this point of time, this feels like a 50-50 from here. It could go higher from here, it could go lower from here. There's no setup. So I give, when it comes to situations like this, I'd rather just wait for a key level breakout, which is going to be 10-20 for me, right? If not, if it doesn't break 10-20, okay, I don't take it. If it pulls back, then I'll be watching this for re-entries of pullbacks. If it doesn't pull back, then I'll watch for 10-20 breakout. This kind of feels a little 50-50 from here already. So this helps me not chase, right? I know my plan is to wait for the 10-20 break. If it doesn't break 10-20, I have no business trying to add over here, right? If it drops from here, then good. I find my dip setup here. Exactly, right? So the con pirates, you're not supposed to focus on your cash amount. It should always focus on percentage. This is what I explained yesterday. I know, of course, cash, if you look at the cash, it always seems better if you look at it at a cash perspective, right? But you can't expect a $5,000 account to make the same profits as a $5 million account. You know what I mean? The risk management is very different. I mean, the risk management might be the same, but the risk amount is going to be very different. Because the 5 million account is going to be able to afford more shares as opposed to a $5,000 or $500 account. But percentage is not going to lie, right? You need to focus on growing it and not try to hit a home run and stuff like that. Yes, I generally China stocks without news always moves better. Don't ask me why, right? This is what I've observed over the past few years, right? But generally, China stocks always move better without news over here. Without news over here. So, that's why it's worth a shot, especially with everything else tank. I don't know why. Okay, I really don't know why, but it has been like that. If you guys really were to look back at all the massive Chinese runs that we have, none of them have news. Like I'm really talking about the ones that go like crazy and shit, not SOGP. SOGP was normal, right? I'm talking about the ones that goes like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000%. You remember RGC? Do you guys remember RGC? Do you guys remember RGC? Do you guys remember this stock when it went from like 9 cents to $83? Not a single shred of news over here, by the way. There was not a single shred of news up here. So yeah, I don't know why, but do be like that. So what percentage of the capital do you use for each operation? Evo. I talk about this during the study session during the weekends. All right, I talk about how I size in based on how much I want to lose, so I don't really care too much about how much my percentage of my capital I'm using. Because whenever I size in, all right, I only focus on how much I am going to lose if the trade doesn't work out. And that should work out how many shares I can buy. And I don't really care too much of my capital inside. I think you really should go through back again, right? Many of you guys keep asking me, but I keep sharing this. It's been the same stuff. It's been the same, right? It's been the same. I don't care about how much my percentage of my capital I put inside each trade because I size it based on how much I want to lose. So if I got a size, if let's say my risk is really, really small and I size in, let's say, and this is gonna lead me to size in, rather, it's gonna allow me to size in 50% of my portfolio on this trade with a very small risk, I'll do it. 50%, it's fine. Right? But if it doesn't work out, I will only lose 1% of my portfolio, even though I use 50%, because the risk is small. I explained about this before. Okay? Why didn't you take IPDN at 9:51 a.m. 9:51 a.m. Sorry, 9. It's because there was no volume over here. Oh, HWH. Oh, HWH. Yeah. This you mean this one, right? Now, honestly, right? I'll be honest with you guys. This over here was a very good setup. I mean, look, you have this consolidation over here. You have the support being formed, right? You have a consolidation on the view up over here. Price went down, buyer stepped in, pushed it all the way up, followed by a bullish on candle. If I was watching this, I would have gotten over here at 280s and have a stop loss on the 250. This was a great setup, but I was focused on Nuke. And remember what I said? I never ever try to focus on two momentum runners at the same time. I think I think I in SSK SHF? I don't remember, but I was focused on CWD and also Nuke. So I couldn't saturate myself with this. Right, and plus also because it was Chinese. Okay, again, remember, there's no telling you. You don't know what the fuck's gonna happen if the thing is. There might be a rate candle go down, that goes down. Right, so I couldn't. I just couldn't. And plus, this thing is Chinese. I didn't have enough conviction back then, so I was like, okay, you know what? This is great. I would think that if I was watching this trade at the same time, if I was trading this at the stock at the same time, if I would see this candle over here, I probably would have taken this at 260s instead. I have my stop loss in the 250 or 245. Right? So when I saw it, it was at 290. It felt like chasing to me because I know I would have taken this at 260s. So I didn't want to take it because this could have just been a great scalp from 260 to 294, and people might sell and be that's it. But as the price would continue showing strength and I saw it break down on other tickers, then I was like, okay, you know what? If this thing breaks 345, it's good. So I'll leave it as this. Yeah, I may not be watching it. You guys got to remember, as I always say, our job as a day trader is not to catch every single thing that runs. Okay, if I didn't trade this today, I've hit my daily goal with Nuke and SHFS. I did not need to trade this. No, yeah, that's fine. Lacan Pirates, right? I would say that if you can, if you allocated your trading hours to be from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., then of course you do need to focus on just trading during that period. If maybe from 6 a.m. to maybe 6:30 you've hit something nice and you hit the daily goal, then I would say just go back to bed. You don't have to stay till 9, right? And I would say that, the fact that you're trading during 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., you're very subjected to volumetation, right? Because companies drop PRs and stuff. So that's why you do tend to move from one trade to another. Very perfectly normal because that's the nature of pre-market. No, and also that's the nature of pre-market. You don't know what is going to actually cement itself to be the trade of the day because the market is just starting out to release the PR. But nothing wrong with that, right? Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. If you can be profitable, still doesn't matter, right? Frankie usually only trades in pre-market too, and you can see he's doing fine, right? It's just different styles. But you just one thing that's important is that you need to see that consistency, right? Don't tell me that one day you want to trade at 6 to 9, and next day you want to trade 11 to 12, right? Then there is no consistency over here. Okay? Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna share something with you guys, right? So you guys remember this okay, if you guys remember this person, all right, Draco Trades. Okay, this guy. So I personally mentored this guy. All right. And you can see, right? It's very, very nice performance over here for him. He doesn't trade the whole day. He doesn't. He focuses on maybe a bit of pre-market and then market open, but it's consistent. He stick to that consistency, the schedule, everything. It's like going to work, right? You don't fucking one day you come to work at like fucking like 1, 2 p.m. and then you shoot the next day you come at 9, right? No, you gotta there has to be some sort of consistency when you come to it. So this way you can see whether your results is going to be consistent because you're not trading at random hours. You're trading at fixed hours, right? Every single day over a long period of time, but the hours you're coming in is the same. I mean, yeah, of course, if you're traveling, that's different, right? If I travel, when I travel, I don't stick to my trading hours too, right? So I just take it some 1, 2 plays here and there just to kind of um fulfill, a bit of that, but it is what it is. Okay, all right. Yeah, but that was that, whatever Drake did over here, right? Very impressive. Okay? Very, very impressive. We'll see. We'll see. I don't think August was boring. I don't think August is boring. Okay, all right. I gotta go. I gotta go and I gotta hop on another call. I'll see you guys around though. Yeah, it was a great start to the weekend month. All right, 100% win rate today. Um, again, I'm not a 100% win rate trader. Yeah, I expect to take losses sooner or later. It's gonna happen. It's not it's not it's not common to see something like that, right? You might have maybe 100% days and stuff, but sooner or later, because you are going to trade every single day, you will have some losses, and that is perfectly part of the game. Okay, all right. If not, I'll see you guys around and enjoy the rest of the day. Great start to the week. Cheers.